Audio in 3, 2, 1. And we are back. Hi again, everyone. Up next, we've got the MarisaLand Legacy Run with Gamercal.
Hello.
How you doing?
Oh man. So, fair warning, this game is not as easy as it might look. This is no I want to be the guy, that's for sure. But physics in this game do make it a little bit less precise in places. So I will try not to die, but there is no guarantees in this game. So, yeah. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward platformer style thing. So, I guess if we are set to go, we may as well get this underway, huh?
Alright. You want to count it down?
Yeah, let's go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so, MarisaLand Legacy. This is the third game of the MarisaLand series here. You've got the original Super MarisaLand, which this game is more modeled off of than the sequel. New Super MarisaLand featured a bunch of different power-ups that gave you different character costumes. This one goes back to basics with the head height system, and you're more or less playing SMB1 here. So, you have no ability to scroll the screen to the left, so it really is just a straightforward left-to-right platformer thing. 8 worlds, 4 stages per world. There's even warp zones in the same places as there would be in SMB1, so 1-2 actually has a warp zone. But warps are boring, we're not going to be playing with those at all. So, literally the run is about 5.5 minutes long if you don't get it wrong. So, the other thing though, this game does borrow the P-meter from SMB3 and SMW. It changes it around a little bit. There's some tech that you can do with it that I'll try and explain as we go. The only other thing that's of major note when it comes to the platforming side of things, you can actually slow your descent down by holding the jump button. Rather than, so there's different times where you want to just let go of the jump button so you can fit underneath things quicker, and there's other times you want to extend that jump or even just run off of platforms whilst holding the jump button so that you can go ahead and make cycles you would not normally. Yeah, so this game's platforms are also kind of on global cycles, so if you mess up stuff like that, you've got to adapt pretty quickly to see where you're going to go. There is some RNG elements in this game, mostly in the form of Podobos and Cheep Cheeps. They are equally irritating, but we will see as we go. And yeah, the bosses, not exactly that memorable. The game, you're aiming to be an average of about 3 minutes per world. So here, I'm going to hold the jump button to get more height off of the fuzzy there, so that I can run off onto the platform. Here, we're going to not hold the jump button, so I can drop down to that. And then hold it here to go over the top of the ferry. It's a pretty scary jump, but managed to make it here. Bosses, they will kill you in one hit even if you're powered up, but we don't get power-ups in the first world anyway, so it doesn't matter. They're not exactly that threatening. There is a hard mode to this game where they move about 3 times as fast and the layouts are different, so they're much more difficult there. But here, kind of just as it is. But now we are actually going to get into the power-up states. So there are 5 different states that you can be in here as a head height as your setup here. So your regular 2 heads tall is your small Mario, you die in 1 hit, etc. You can't do anything with the blocks here. At 3 heads tall, these cookie blocks act like turn blocks from SMW, so you can hit them, you'd pass through them, but they don't break. At 4 heads tall, if you got another small mushroom, then you would be able to break them as if they're regular bricks. And then the red mushroom there is a double shroom, so that will double whatever your current height is. So for 3 heads tall, you go to 6. It's the only way you can get to 6 heads tall, and this is your Fire Mario equivalent. The fireball will only go straight horizontal, which is a problem for this stage because the RNG starts to kind of show its face here. 2-2 and 6-3 later on are Cheep Cheep stages, and these flying fish fairies with their adorable little snorkels are evil, as we have just seen there. They kind of don't want you to keep your power-ups here, and that is really bad. If you're really unlucky with this, you actually can just straight up die with no fault of your own on this stage. So, kind of unfortunate. Obviously you want to keep the power-up. We want to fire kill as many of the bosses as possible. they take 15 fireballs, and it's much, much faster because you can just spam kill them. But there's only a couple worlds we can do that with. This is one of them, so even though it's going to be quite a bit slower to get the power-up back, thankfully we can get the power-up back in this stage, and it still saves time overall to go ahead and do that. Fire kills are a roughly 13-second time save overall. So, yeah, also kind of building up P-Speed there, so I can explain that as we go on the next stage. Unlike Super Mario 3 and Super Mario World, when you jump forwards in the air, you don't lose however much of the P-meter you've built up. It is invisible just like in Super Mario World, but if you, say, build up half the meter, then jump off the ground, and continuing to jump forwards, you'll retain that half going onto the ground at your next possible attempt. So that means you can actually go ahead and build it up over several platforms rather than having to build it up on just one. And there aren't too many times where that's like ridiculously impactful, but there are quite a few areas where you can build it up over the course of several platforms to maintain as fast a speed as possible. So here we're going to have our first boss where we actually have fire. It's pretty good. This is a deliberate damage boost. I think overall it's not going to end up being faster if I can perfect World 3, but currently it is faster to actually be 3 heads tall instead of 6 for this stage. So it's an interesting dynamic. You want to have 6 heads tall for as many bosses as possible, but you also want to be able to do the stages as quickly as you can. And 6 heads tall being so much taller than regular Marisa here actually makes it very difficult to go with P-Speed strats the whole way through. Yeah, it's possible to also have P-Speed and just jump straight over that. I knew I wasn't going to make it, I saw the height was too low, so I decided I was going to just grab the vine instead. Rather than missing it, falling down to the bottom, have to come back up, waste a lot more time. So, yeah. So here, we're going to re-grab the power-up, and then hope to keep it for the end of this world. So, grab this guy to knock out the Juggling Fairy. Juggling Fairies are evil, they are very slow to get past. Speaking of evil, Hammerburst Fairy is not exactly the greatest. See, there's a good example of maintaining P-Speed as well. We're going to just use the shell, knock out these, hold the jump button down so that I descend slow enough to not fall into the pit there. If you just run off that platform without holding jump, you are going to fail. And it's pretty embarrassing, but whatever. So, speaking of embarrassing, this is one of the toughest levels to do in the speedrun because we have bouncy clouds. They're like note blocks, except 100 times worse. If you don't immediately bounce off of these, you will kill all of your momentum. Unless, kind of like that, except, you know, with, oh, more like that, I suppose. So this stage can be done with P-Speed the entire way through, but as you can appreciate, it is incredibly difficult to jump off of those at the right time. So honestly, that's not even atypical. I wish it was, but it's such a difficult stage to speedrun properly. But it's fine. So, this world has kind of transitioned into Skytown, and we have Skyfort over here introducing Thwomp Fuzzies. These adorable little things you actually can jump off of, and you kind of need to for the end of this, but if I'm good enough with this jump, you can actually bypass that. Maintain the P-Speed the whole way through. Saves about 3 seconds over, like 2.5, 3 seconds over having to jump there, so that's pretty great. We get the fire kill for this stage as well. This is one of the most impactful ones to have fire for, because, oh man, bouncing off of those platforms against fuzzies is a pain in the butt. You don't want to have to do that. So, yeah, essentially this is like your princesses in another castle thing, where the story for this, if you want to call it a story, is that Marisa took a mushroom at the start that shrunk her from her regular 5 heads tall height to 2 heads tall, and she's looking for the mushroom that gets her back to her regular height. That's pretty much it. There's not much else to it. So it's kind of your princess is in another castle. So here we're going to try, it's a good example of building up the P-Speed. I'm going to try something that I've been kind of working on today. Didn't quite get it. I wanted to keep my P-Speed going there and actually keep 6 heads tall, because it is possible, albeit incredibly difficult, to keep it through this world. But that's okay, because the regular strats will still work perfectly fine here. These Punchy Bunnies, they're not exactly the friendliest of characters. You don't really want to have to deal with them, so we're just going to jump straight over that, no problem. And yeah, basically make our way through to the pipe stuff. So the P-Speed preservation stuff is going to come in here. I'm actually going to deliberately jump here so I don't get P-Speed as early as possible. That way I can run off that platform. As that platform is sinking, it lets my head height like goes underneath the ceiling, and I've kept P-Speed going the entire way through, or like building it up the entire way through, so I can actually just run with P-Speed once we're past that section. So we finally have the one and only like true auto-scroller in this game. This is the only level which is entirely an auto-scroller. There are auto-scrolling segments and like one timed level, but this is the only one which is 100% auto-scroll, and it's not even that long of an auto-scroll, so I don't mind it. I really like the pace this game keeps up. In comparison to Ambapani that I ran last year, where there are some lightning segments in that, and then you get to about 11 minutes in, and like half the stage is auto-scroll, and it's kind of annoying. This one, not so bad on that front. So, got little eyes at the end there. I don't know what they're staring at you for, but it's okay. So, Bamboo Town about to be done with the castle here. There's been quite a few developments on this stage compared to what it used to be. It used to be a much slower stage than this. So you can run under these two jumping ones. You need to jump relatively early there because the Punji's got a pretty big hitbox. Single tile jump there, and you can actually go ahead and duck jump over that and maintain P-Speed too, which is quite impressive. Gonna grab the mushroom here to be 4 heads tall, specifically attempting to do it for the next stage. Unfortunately, it's a bit difficult to get the duck jump over that, so I was going to show off the Mega Marisa 8 heads tall in the next stage. But unfortunately, kinda can't do that anymore because I don't have the power. But that's okay. 5-1 is pretty malleable, you can do it at a bunch of different states. You need to jump here because if you just keep running, you will run straight into the Punji. Not exactly what you want to do, so we're good with that. So there's a double mushroom at the start of the next stage, which would have given us Mega Marisa to barrel straight through the first part of this stage. So that would have been the plan, but now we get to do this as Small Marisa only, which is totally fine. Small Marisa, you can run under that fairy. It's a reason not to get the power up at the start of the stage, so that's good. I do want to get a power up from here though, so I'm going to take a little bit of time to get this, even if it is a little awkward. It's still worth it for the next stage. There is a pretty big damage boost in the next stage that saves about 1.5 seconds if you do the optimal backup strats. So the way that this game works, so the Podobos are random after they launch off screen, like when you're right next to them, and then it's random when they next launch. The fire bars, however, are on a global cycle, so these guys are very predictable in the way that they're set up. Also, there's a hidden life there. We're not going to grab it because we don't need those stinking lives. Yeah, but these are very predictable in the way that they're set up, so we can just kind of run through most of this. This is the deliberate damage boost, and then we're going to grab a mushroom here in order to do a damage boost at the end as well, so that we can go ahead and just run straight through and proceed through. Otherwise, you've got to wait for all the cycles, and it's really boring. So there's a better damage boost you can do, but it's like 50 times harder to do, so I'm not currently confident in doing it once. So here we're going to see the random nature of the Podobos. So you see these two have appeared basically at the same time, and now it's completely random as to when they next appear. So it's a little bit awkward. You've got to be pretty careful with your timing. These platforms, however, are global cycle, so you can manipulate that. Here, it looks kind of crazy jumping so far to the right here, but if I get a particularly late spawn like that, if I just stayed on the platform, I would have probably been hit by that Podobo. So I go ahead and do a forward jump just to play it a bit safe. You can always pull back in the air. It's very similar to SMB. It's kind of a blend of SMB 1 and 3 in terms of how much leeway you have in the air. So this is one of the other absolute toughest stages of the game. We're going to be going for a very quick cycle here. We've got to make sure that I get down as fast as possible with that, so I can build up P-Speed here, and basically I want to undercut a fire bar cycle here. Just shorted to jump a little bit. This stage is really hard to do, so I'm not too surprised at dying here. It's kind of a shame. This is one of the biggest ones for time wasting in the whole run. I'm still going to go for the same thing once we can get past that. You do not have any more let than what I've given here, so if you want to actually make this cycle, you have to be really precise coming down the middle of this here. Also, that, I'm gonna miss it now anyway, the RNG on that fireball can make you have to jump super early, so you gotta be very careful of that too. Bit of a shame, this stage is just very nasty to deal with, so I'm not overly surprised, and unfortunately the worst of this isn't even done yet. So sliding's a little bit slower than just running straight down, but that's actually on purpose because that lets you bypass the fire bars there. And then there's a lot of RNG with the protobos here, just gotta kind of deal with that. I want to grab the mushroom here so I can get 6 heads tall in the next stage. Because the next one is actually designed to be a Mega Marisa stage, there are only double mushrooms, but we want fire for the World 6 boss. So the idea is that you go in with a regular mushroom from this stage, and that lets you go ahead and buff out in stage 6. So a little bit of a setback, but that is totally fine. I completely expect 5-4 to go badly. It is the cause of a lot of resets, to say the least. So, World 6 is ice. We're not going to get to see too much of how crazy ice physics are in this game, but trust me, they are absolutely ridiculous. A little bit of a trick here, if you miss the P-Speed, you can build it up by sliding on the hill there, so that's kind of good. These pullbacks in the air are designed to maintain my speed, P-Speed, but not actually like crash out with it. Not really working out as well this time, but that's fine. Kept the power up, that's what's more important. You need to leave 6-2 at 3 heads tall, at least, so I need to only take 1 hit at maximum in this next stage. Ideally, I just don't take any hits, though. But that implies that I can just run straight through this one, which is possible, but it's pretty tricky to maintain P-Speed here. So you want to pull back, but then hold forwards when you land on the ground. Didn't quite pick it up there, so we're just going to take it a little bit safer. It's totally fine. So you can shoot the bouncing fuzzies out of the sky, and just run straight under to finish that off. Not too bad. So, 2-2 was an absolute nightmare because of the snorkel for fairies. This stage is very similar, except it's all on ice, so it's even more difficult to keep it. Hooray! Yeah, that was pretty much undodgeable if I wanted to try and keep going remotely quickly, so good job, game. RNG has not been particularly kind this run, but it's a marathon. You never expect to have good RNG in marathons. Yeah, just not even jumping for that at the end, I might well have been hit there. So we're not gonna get a fire kill, that's fine. Again, we're looking at about 13 to maybe 15 seconds, I think, for this stage, because the stage portion's a bit slower without fire as well. So, yeah, the little bits of RNG that are starting to become problems when my splits are only about a minute and change outside of Summer Best. Starting to become a bit of a problem, but that's fine. If you had fire, you could quick kill these, but without it, you've kind of got to wait a little bit. I think you might be able to jump under them, but I haven't really gotten to that sort of stage yet. So here, use the fuzzies to bounce, the front fuzzies to bounce up. Again, they're pretty cute. It's not the last time we'll see them. And yeah, this is just a straight shot like the first world one, except it's on ice. So the only real catch here is you've got to try and make sure you don't do crazy jumps on the ice here. Just keep yourself balanced and it's totally fine. Not really any issue from the boss itself, it just takes longer when you don't have fire, blah blah blah. That's the last one that we can possibly fire kill here, because there are damage boosts that we need to take in World 7. It's actually possible to have fire for the World 7 boss, but it's actively slower, as we'll see as we go along. So World 7, very difficult world overall to do, there's a lot of crazy jumps here. So we're gonna try and get this done first time. If I had 6 heads tall, Marisa, I would damage boost on that fuzzy, because I need to be 3 heads tall in order to make a particular jump with P-speed right here. You're too tall to fit in that gap. Just pulling back just as I fall off the platform here so I can maintain P-speed, but also not just run straight off the edge of the platform. So that's pretty good. You'll see that a decent bit to just kind of slightly correct things. This game can be very awkward about jumping off the edge of platforms, so you want to make sure that you don't have to be too precise with that. So yeah, a little bit of pullback there. Hold the jump button so I don't run into the little pit there. Just gonna let this guy fall down. So the bullet bill fairies, they kind of like the fireballs. They are fixed when they first shoot, but then they are random when they will shoot after that. So the idea, you want to just run past as many of them as possible. Don't let the RNG have a chance to screw you over. So, and that's the main thing. So now 7-3. Also, one of the toughest levels of the game to run, because now we've got to do a bunch of single tower jumps off of these cannons here. And this stage is an absolute nightmare to do fast. So if I can get this would be very much appreciated. A little jump there. Don't need the power up. The power up would actually slow me down in the next stage. That drop down is not just as simple as hold the jump button down, because if you hold the jump button down, you actually descend too slow and you'll run into the ceiling bit. So you've got to drop a little bit and then hold the jump button down. And normally you just run straight into the cannon with that. So it's a very well played stage for that. 7-4, this is where you can pick up fire again, but it's just too slow. You can run under a lot of the cannons here, keep the P-speed by pulling back slightly. You have to give up the P-speed here, but that's fine. So yeah, that would be too difficult to do at 6 heads tall. And one final big jump. There we go. So here's going to be the biggest example of bullet bill fairies being random. There are off-screen fairies being shot, and you can see they all shot at the same time initially, and now they are all completely random. I need to get rid of that one, because that might get in the way. Just play it a little bit safe, make sure that I don't get myself screwed over. And that's fine. So we've got one more world left to do. This world also has some pretty crazy tricks in it, so again, hopefully we get them. So start off here, we need to bounce, don't even bounce off the ferry, okay? Short jump underneath that guy, didn't get to keep it, so I don't know. Yeah, okay, we can build up P-speed with that there, that's totally fine. Full jump over that, and if you're quick, you land there and bypass the ferry cycle. If you don't land on the brick next to it, you have to wait for the juggling ferry to stop juggling, basically. It's a bit of a jerk. A little bit sketchy on this here. That's fine. Go ahead and grab this fuzzy for killing a juggling fairy at the very end of the stage, and we are good to go. A little bit slow, but honestly, I will take it. So now, 8-2, probably my favourite level of the game. It's one of the ones that's undergone the most changes, but it's also one of the most difficult ones to do. So I'm just gonna shut up and hopefully get this right. Oh, we nailed it. Heck yeah. Alright, there we go. That's the one stage that I really need to focus on in order to get it right. Whew, okay. So, you basically just gotta bounce off of all the fairies at the right time. Now we get to 8-3. This is actually very reminiscent of 8-3 in SMB1. There are even power-ups in the same spots in these hammer fairy bits. So I want to have running momentum there so I can jump high enough to bounce on the fairy. And here, there's a slightly faster strat, but it's RNG based, so I don't do it in actual runs right now. So we just take the fuzzy, kill those off, and done with the stage. So now, final stage. By the way, time is when I hit the final mushroom after killing the boss. So, just so you're aware of when time actually stops here. There's fairies at the start, the hammer fairies. There is a particular RNG pattern that will kill me without any recourse, and that is the one right there, unfortunately. So it's still worth it to go for because you save several seconds on platform cycles, but of course if you die then it wastes some of the time, and this is really bad luck at the end of this, unfortunately. But hey, it is what it is, you just gotta kind of persist. This stage does not normally give me this much trouble, so you can take it slow, grab a fuzzy and kill these guys, but I'm not going for that because that is boring. Such a shame because we did really well for the rest of this, but okay, doesn't matter. We can finish this off now. We keep the fuzzy here, keep the P-speed with a slight pullback, and you want to stop running here. Seems counterintuitive, but it lets you build P-speed up as you're running through that. And then safety mushroom takes about 1.5 seconds to get. And that's because you've got hammer fairies to deal with here. You've seen they sometimes throw 1 to 3 sunflowers, so they can definitely pile up the projectiles in weird places. So it's very easy to take a hit here, so especially for Marathon. Yeah, go ahead and do that. And time, there we go. Whew. Okay, so 5-4 went badly, 8-4 was bad RNG, the rest of this was amazing. I am more than happy with that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this run as well. You can break some of the bricks here, but I'm not going to do that because I'm going to show off a little glitch instead. You can get yourself pushed off the screen and it looks silly, so yeah. Whew. So,
Alright.
that was MarisaLand Legacy. That went way better than I thought it was going to, so I am pretty happy with that.
Yeah, that was great. Good job, dude. You were 5 minutes under, so...
Yeah, I will admit, I've been practicing a decent bit of no to low reset to try and make sure that I could comfortably do it, and at least I managed to win some time back for the stream, right? So yeah, if you get pushed off the screen, instead of stopping at the end and having the mushroom, you know, throw the mushroom to wherever you are, you just get teleported to the middle of the screen at the top, just standing in the air, because why not? You know. Yeah. So, this game is on Steam if you're interested. There are a lot of secrets in this. This is just basic Warpless. There are, as you see, 160. There's like 5 rainbow stars to collect per level. So there's a lot of little hidden bits that you can find. A lot of fun stuff to go through if you're the exploratory type. So yeah, if you're interested, give it a shot. Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here again. And up next, we are going to have a Metroid fan game. So we got a Metroid ROM hack, my bad. So following up Marisa's Legacy, that's what we're going to have. So transition it over.